Welcome to the SEO.co Search Engine Optimization Podcast. Digital marketing essentials and next level tactics. From offsite and on-site optimization to persuasive selling and everything in between. You'll learn actionable tips on what it takes to outright and outrank your competition.
Welcome back to part 2 of domain name valuations. Domain name valuations can be impacted or swayed by dozens of factors. And in true internet fashion, a domain can go from being obscure to in high demand in a matter of hours. But anomalies aside, here are some of the general principles, factors, and characteristics that are considered important in domain name valuations. TLD. The top-level domain that you couple with your domain name has a major impact on value. In almost all cases, the .com domain extension is going to command the highest valuation. It's the default TLD that people type into the browser, and it has the most recognition in the marketplace. Other popular options include .net, .org, .edu, and .gov. When compared side by side, a website that has a .com domain name could be as much as 2 to 3 times more valuable than these other TLDs. And when compared to the more obscure ones like .fashion, .finance, or .blog, .com domains have exponentially higher valuations. Traffic. For domains that are already taken, for example, a buyer's looking to purchase an existing website, traffic is something to consider. Website traffic is monetizable in a variety of forms, including advertising, branding, and direct sales, and is worth its weight in gold. A website that's getting 100,000 monthly visitors is going to automatically have premium valuation when compared to a website that gets 400 monthly visitors. Links. Sites with existing, quality, can't overemphasize quality, backlinks will tend to fetch a higher valuation than those that don't, especially if backlinks and existing content equate to higher rankings and traffic. The anchor text of a domain's backlinks and/or business sector of the domain can also play a factor in your valuation. Keywords. As you know, keywords play an integral role in SEO. And if you study some of the top domain names on the web, you'll find that many of them include attractive keywords in their domains. While having a keyword in a domain doesn't guarantee that you'll rank for that keyword, it certainly helps the cause. Thus, it also has the ability to impact a domain's valuation. Spelling. A domain name's spelling is obviously important. You want your domain to be spelled correctly. Otherwise, you risk looking unprofessional. It can also siphon traffic away from your website and towards another site, which could be a competitor. However, there are instances where misspellings or alternate spellings can help brands differentiate and/or purchase domain names where correct spellings are taken. Fiverr.com is a great example. They add an extra R to the end of the domain name, and it's allowed them to create a memorable name. Branding. Speaking of creating memorable names, there's certainly a brandability component to domain names. The simpler and more unique a domain name is, the more likely it is to be remembered. This is part of the reason why social networking sites like Twitter.com, Facebook.com, or even TikTok.com use attention-grabbing names. Length. Brevity is a key driving factor in value. Website.com is going to be worth more than mywebsite.com, which is going to be worth more than myveryfirstwebsite.com, and so on. The more keystrokes it takes to type in a domain name, the more friction that exists between the visitors checking out your website and visiting another one. Shorter domain names are more memorable, more marketable, and easier to share with others. Age. Generally speaking, a website that's been around for 10 years is going to be more valuable than one that's been in existence for 2 years. That's because domains that have been around longer usually have much more extensive SEO. This helps them rank higher, which generates more visibility and traffic. Competition. Finally, competition can come into play. This becomes an issue when you're buying or selling a variation of a domain name. If there's another domain that has more favorable TLD, it can suppress the value of your site. Let's say, for example, that you're trying to purchase business.net. While that's still a valuable domain name, it's automatically going to take a hit because most people are familiar with business.com. Thus, the number of people who are going to directly search business.net over business.com is small. This doesn't mean that you shouldn't buy domain names in highly competitive spaces, but it is something to consider. Revenue. Best still are monetized websites that have existing revenue and cash flow, but that's a valuation discussion for another time. Much like real estate or other investments, value is determined by how much someone is willing to pay. So while you might think you have $1 million domain name, it depends on what the marketplace tells you. If there are only 2 prospective buyers, and they're both unwilling to pay more than $50,000, That's your price. You can take it or leave it. The reverse is true as well. You might not think your domain is worth anything, only to get a slew of high-dollar offers in a 2-week span. It all depends on what the marketplace thinks. All of that is to say, it's helpful to have a basic understanding of what drives domain name valuations so that you can be an informed buyer or seller. And the more tools you have to zero in on specific numbers, the better off you'll be. Join us next time in the final installment of Domain Name Valuations.
Thank you for joining us on the SEO.co podcast. We appreciate your time. Be sure to rate, review, and subscribe to the show and visit SEO.co for more resources based on today's topic, as well as access to more podcast episodes to help you improve your site's long-term SEO success.